Thank you, Jen, and good morning. I'm moving the mic. Can you still hear me? Okay. First of all, I want to recognize Councilmember Henjum in the House visiting and grateful for your leadership. So thank you all for joining me for our March press briefing. Welcome to Springster. At least that's what I'm calling it. The season between winter and spring, where we experience snowstorms and more potholes. And yes, our public works staff is working on your behalf. By way of review, the three most essential functions of your city, local government, is public safety, caring for our public parks, and caring for our public infrastructure. So public infrastructure is my focus for today's press briefing. And there are three things that I want to share with you related to public infrastructure. Then I'll open up to questions from the team. So first thing I want to address is last week's snowstorm. According to the National Weather Service, Colorado Springs received over 2 feet of snow, and that's a lot of snow. And I'd like to point out that officially we are in second winter. First, thank you to the residents for heeding advice, avoiding travel when possible, and for quickly clearing your sidewalks. And our local media, you guys played a big part of that, so I want to thank you too for your hard work in communicating to our public. I'd also like to thank our city employees for the professional response, from our first responders to the plow drivers to the forestry staff. The city had hundreds of dedicated public servants working around the clock to keep our residents safe and to keep our city moving. This also included our airport. Though some airline carriers chose to suspend travel, our airport was still open, and I'm proud to say it was never closed, and they were keeping up with their infrastructure needs as well. I heard from several residents how impressed they were with our ability to keep the roads clear as we did, because this was a challenging storm. So I'm truly proud of our team. So we responded with about 51 snow plows and a team of over 100 plow operators working 24 hours a day in alternating shift between Wednesday and Saturday throughout the weekend to provide continuous help. They focused their attention on primary roadways until the storm stopped. Then they began work on secondary roadways and into the residential neighborhood streets as well. The snow crew paid special attention to Tejon Street downtown to ensure that the roads were clear for the downtown St. Patrick's Day bike ride and parade and 5K run. And downtown was hopping and was very green. I also want to give a shout out to Switchbacks FC fans who helped the team literally shovel out the snow. That was really beautiful to watch the community come together. And a shout out to our favorite CC Hockey Tigers, who played last Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And we are eagerly anticipating the news of whether or not they make it to the NCAA tournament. Again, kudos to our public works team. And we're thankful for the hard work, and to our first responders who were working in harsh conditions to help those in need. If you're interested, the stats for the snowstorm include between Wednesday, March 13, and Saturday, March 16, about 29,500 miles were driven, and it cost the city almost $350,000. For the entire 2023-2024 winter season, we've had 26 operational days, 153,000 miles driven, and over $2 million in cost to the city. So we are putting your taxpayer dollars to good use. Number 2, potholes, our favorite subject, but also our least favorite outcome of the impact of the snow. This is inevitable living here in the Pikes Peak region, especially around the March to April time of the month. You see our weather shifts from cold to warmer temperatures and back again, and causes freeze-thaw cycle, sometimes in the same day. And then when water gets into the crack, it causes the roadways to freeze and expand, and then creates what we know as potholes in the asphalt. So we are working hard to address these potholes as soon as they form. In the last 6 weeks alone, we've had over 1,200 pothole requests, and we've filled almost 11,000 thousand potholes. So keep those requests coming. In terms of 2024 data, if you're interested, we're 80 days into 2024, and we received over 1,200 requests and filled almost 18,000 potholes. It is important to share that the same hardworking city employees who are plowing the snow are also the ones filling out potholes. So as you can imagine, they are very busy. So working to care for our infrastructure, that work never ends. And to those team members, we see you and we appreciate the work you're doing. Again, to report any potholes, because we depend on you to report those. So use the Go COS app. Or call 719-385-ROAD, and you will talk to a real and live person during normal business hours. And number 3, my third item, the 2C Road Improvement and Paving Program. You're going to be hearing a lot about this year. You see, fixing potholes is a Band-Aid solution and only addresses the symptoms. The cure for all these potholes is in passing 2C. And we hope to pass it in this November ballot season, as preventative maintenance reduces actually the potholes in our city. To C is a proven road maintenance program. Voters voted it in 2015 and voted it again in 2019. And I believe the voters have voted it twice now because they believe it is working. This dedicated sales tax has repaved nearly 1,600 miles of roadways and upgraded adjacent concrete that protects and extends the life of these roads. And while we've been doing great work for the last 9 years, there's still thousands of lane miles that need to be repaved as we catch up on decades of deferred maintenance. So we need to work to ensure that 2C continues to work for our residents so that we can make our roads even better. We also need to protect the investment of 2C from our voters that they have made as they invest in their roads. So the current 2C, the road maintenance program, expires next year. So we are working on getting it on this November ballot. So I'm asking you for your support for us to continue this work of creating smoother roads and as we invest in your city and community. This is why I am proud today to announce a couple of new public-facing platforms to better inform our public and to help tell the story of 2C and how it has benefited you over the last 9 years. I hope you use these tools to learn more about how the impact 2C has had in our great city and how we need to keep moving forward. So first, we launched a new web page this morning for you to better understand and for us to communicate better to you about 2C. So you can find that at coloradosprings.gov/2C. Second, there's a link from this landing page with an interactive story map. This is actually really exciting, that visualizes 2C's impact on our roadway network. And as you can see on the screen, the story map is doing 3 things. It will show some before and after impressive photos of what the roads were like and then what they are after. Number 2, these graphics would also tell you how this initiative has actually helped save taxpayer money. And number 3, it will show you the overall impact 2C has had on pothole reduction when you look at our entire infrastructure. So check it out, coloradosprings.gov/2C. Okay, I am notorious for a bonus item. I never stick to my 3. So here's my 4th item for today. In honor of Women's History Month, I'll be remiss if I didn't honor the women in our city who contribute to the families, the workplaces, the neighborhoods, and advancing human flourishing in our city. So in honor of Women's History Month, I want to mention 3 of Colorado Springs' past women legends who were influential in shaping our city. Julia Archibald Holmes in 1958 was the first woman on record to summit Pikes Peak, which has inspired tons of other women and people in our community to do the same. Julie Penrose, the daughter of the former Detroit Mayor Alexander Lewis. Julie was extremely generous in many areas in our community, and she was the president of El Pomar for 16 years. And to the Black female entrepreneur Fannie Mae Duncan, who many of us know, who she founded the Cotton Club, a jazz club that welcomed some musical greats such as Louis Armstrong in our community. Fast forward to today, many of the women in our community are continuing that legacy and are still crushing it. So I'd like to thank the women of my city team and in our community for their excellent work. And a special shout out to council members Lynette Crow-Iverson, Yolanda Avila, and Nancy Henjum, and Michelle Tellerico. You are setting a strong example of leadership, and I see you all. And to my wife, Abby, the First Lady, for her dedication to our city and her leadership with advancing healthy communities, especially in the arena of mental health. So at this point, I want to open up to questions from our media partners.
For those who may be frustrated about the potholes, I know there's the whole report system as well. What would you tell them? That it's a priority.
Yes. This is March and April in our community. This is part of living in the Pikes Peak region. So that's the first thing. The second thing, the number of potholes that we've seen, the number of reports, it's on par with what we've seen in the past. And number three is your city is working for you, and we're actively working to address it, and we will catch up. We live in the largest geographical city in the state of Colorado, so there's a lot of grounds to cover. So, and which means also a lot of potholes to fix. And be patient with us, and we have a great team, dedicated public servants. Many times they're working around the clock in this season, and we will get to those potholes. Yes.
Yeah, apologies if you already covered this. Because it's such a large geographical area of the city, I think a lot of people can empathize with that and be patient about it. But do we have an idea about a timeline?
For the potholes? Yeah. I'm looking at my team.
We are actively working, and everything you just said is completely accurate. They will probably never be at a zero level, but we can definitely get them at a lower level than they currently are, and we do have a staff that is working daily.
Do you want to come up? Yeah. I know they want to see your face too.
Say your name and spell it one quick, your title.
We can do that. All right. Do you want me to simply say that all again, or do you want to ask a specific question for an answer?
Don't forget to say your name and title.
All right. Okay. Clint Brown, Street Operations Manager, City of Colorado Springs.
Yeah, I think what you just said was very well said.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to say that again.
As our mayor just so nicely worded things, we have a staff that's actively working on behalf of the citizens, and we are aware potholes can be aggravating. However, we have people working on a daily basis, going out there trying to make things better and improve driving conditions to make sure things are as good as possible for getting to where you need to go throughout the city. Right now, there are a lot of potholes out there, but we are actively making those numbers less on a daily basis, and we're doing our best to improve things and provide as good of an infrastructure as we possibly can.
Clint, you just want to mention too, for travelers to keep your crews safe out there, that would be good.
We can do that. One thing I would like to ask of the citizens is just please be mindful and respectful when you see workers in the roadway trying to improve things. A lot of times traffic's traveling at a lot higher rate of speed than people are actively working, and we want to keep everybody safe and let them go home to their families at night.
I know the answer to this, but the people that are new to Colorado Springs may not know. What is creating these potholes? Like, how are they formed?
Potholes are simply a result of aged roads, aged infrastructure, plus climate conditions. This winter, we've had a lot of storms that we've responded to. We just responded to our 18th separate call out. So that's a lot of snow events throughout the winter. And all that moisture affects the roads and the road conditions. More specifically, when you get into the spring and March and April, that's heavy amounts of moisture. As was pointed out, we just had a snowstorm with 2 feet of recorded precipitation, and that was 2 feet of heavy moisture. It wasn't a dry snow, so it was a very wet snow, and that can definitely impact the roads. As the mayor pointed out, that moisture, it can penetrate the cracks, and when that happens, it can freeze and thaw. Here in the Colorado Springs area, we live sort of at the line geographically where there's a significant freeze-thaw cycle on a consistent basis. So when I say that, cities and states further north of us will stay frozen, so the ground won't move and contract as much. South of us, they'll stay not frozen. So there's here, a lot of times we'll have it twice a day where it freezes and thaws morning and night, and that can affect things because you're constantly taking hard substances such as concrete and asphalt and you're pulling them back and forth. So it's a constant cycle, and that's what affects, it helps create potholes. A lot of it too, honestly, is older roads. So when we talk about the 2C initiative, part of that is trying to address aged infrastructure. Our city, as wonderful as it is, it's grown by leaps and bounds, over the last decade to 2 decades. And we're doing our best to try to stay up with road maintenance as is necessary, considering the massive growth that we've experienced.
Is there any parts of town that you're experiencing lots of the pothole issue? I know coming up and down Circle between I-25 and Fountain,
potholes are not partial to any part of town. They're everywhere, and that's reality. All aspects of the city are going to experience potholes, and we have crews based in all sections of the city, and we will address them on a case-by-case basis. As the mayor pointed out, please definitely use the apps and resources provided, report the potholes, and we will do our best to actively respond and take care of them as fast as we reasonably can.
Last year, more than 86,000 potholes were filled. Do you have a number of where we're at right now and if we're on par? I believe that
We're on par, could potentially be a little higher than that. A lot of that's dependent on what's left for this winter. If we have a couple more storms, that could easily add to the total pothole count. But we are on par with what's pretty standard. Around our city, we normally average between 80 to 100,000 potholes a year. And, that's part of living here. And as we continue to improve the infrastructure, hopefully those numbers will slowly start to be reduced over time.
And then do you have any recommendations for drivers? If someone's thinking, let me swerve around this pothole, but then ends up crashing into the person next to them, what tips and advice do you guys tell people when they are approaching a pothole?
My advice is drive in as safe of a manner as possible. If you see a pothole, I would recommend to slow down and not to swerve into other lanes of traffic.
Is there anything you can do longer term with materials used to pave the roads to help lower the pothole issue?
2C is addressing that as we speak. In a perfect world, we'd love to build all the roads out of 2 foot of asphalt and then they'd last forever and ever. Functionally, that's not realistic. So we are trying to do our best to put a program together that can address as many roads throughout as many parts of the city as possible. And that's where 2C has been a blessing to both our staff and the residents over the course of the last decade. It's addressed a lot of roads throughout the city. I think around 1,600 miles have been paved. So that's definitely why we ask for citizen support and voter turnout to help us keep this tax initiative in place so we can keep doing our jobs and making sure these roads are in as good a shape as possible for everyone that lives in our city.
Okay, and what about the actual materials being used? I know many years ago there was a test section of tire rubber asphalt over by the Citadel Mall in Shelton. Any word on, does that type of material work better or worse? I can speak to that.
Go right ahead. We'll let Brian.
Say your name,
Yeah.
your name since it's...
Hi, I'm Brian Wilson. I'm the operations manager who oversees 2C for the contracted programs group in operations and maintenance, BRYAN, WILSON. You asked about the tire rubber mix, actually. So that was something that was implemented many years prior to many of us entering our roles, and we've actually got a lot of data on it, and it lasts about a 10-year period of time before it significantly catastrophically fails. And so what we're identifying is that those areas are becoming a problem for us. You are currently actively working on Academy Boulevard where we used it and fixing some of those issues. 2C is going to be coming in to address those and put in what is our current regional spec. We work with local industry groups that come up with what is best for our region and our climate, and many engineers work on that together, and we follow their best practices, and that's kind of what we're approaching 2C with.
What's the current lifetime of a regular asphalt road?
Yeah, so we usually typically target 20 years, but you also have to preventatively maintain those. We also mentioned that a lot of times a roadway needs the oil of your car needs changed. Typically, a roadway needs similar items. So we say you have to do your slurry treatment, which is a second application after an overlay. You got to do chip seal treatments. That's like putting lotion on your hands. So if you do those things, that will keep your roadway in better shape long term.
There's actually a map on the 2C website, if you look over the story map, that shows the benefit of the maintenance throughout. So if you go to that story map page, you'll get a little more information.
Any
Other questions for Brian or for Clint on 2C or potholes?
Thank you.
And thank you both, really, Brian and Clint. You got a taste of our excellent team members that are behind this work. One of the things I say quite a bit with just about every single initiative we have at the city, there are two ways we approach it, downstream and upstream. So when the questions around potholes are all about downstream and how quick we respond to the needs right now. But upstream is all about, for us, when it comes to our road maintenance, is about preventative, and that's why 2C is really important. Yeah, we can keep up with all the potholes, but ultimately, we have to ensure that we're investing in our aging roads and infrastructure to ensure that every year we're not dealing with so many potholes. So I am hopeful as we invest more in our own infrastructure, then we won't be having as long of a conversation on potholes. Any other questions? Yes.
Recently, about 2 weeks ago, Chief Housing Officer Steve Posey resigned abruptly from some of his posts. Do you have any comments about that?
Yeah, Steve chose to resign, and he's doing well. And Katie Sunderland has stepped into that role as acting chief, and I'm so proud of the work that she's doing. We have not missed a beat. And her focus is on connecting with all the partners in the community, ensuring that we are working on our housing needs assessment with the Pikes Peak Housing Network. And the third thing she's also focusing on is a new grant HUD opportunity of $450,000 that will be going out to our community, and we'll be receiving applications for that soon. So the work continues. Katie and the team are doing great, and Steve is actually doing well as well. Thank you all.